I'm Georgia.
And I'm Renee.
And this is iMore TV. So Renee, how would someone choose between getting a MacBook Air versus an iPad, the new iPad?
That's actually a great question because the MacBook Air now, 11 inches, small, portable, starts at $1,000. The iPad, 9.7 inches, starts at $500.
And they're both exceptionally light, easy to carry around, exceptionally portable.
Yeah, this is a traditional computer. So you have the keyboard, you have the screen, you have the trackpad. If you're used to using a laptop, this is an incredibly well-built, incredibly portable laptop. And this is different in kind. This is multi-touch, so there's no keyboard. That's totally disintermediated. You interact directly with the screen.
So I think that it would depend on who's wanting to buy it and what you're going to use it for. So why don't we break it down? The new iPad. It comes in Wi-Fi and Wi-Fi plus 4G.
And that's important because it means that you can take it anywhere, access the internet anywhere, and basically do your work from any location. So they both have the front-facing camera that you can use for web chat, but this one actually has a usable camera for taking pictures while you're out and about.
It also comes in 16, 32, and 64 gigabytes.
But it's not user expandable. That means you can't just plug in a USB drive or a thumbstick and have more storage if you need it.
Which I'd be able to do with my MacBook Air.
Yeah.
It also has Retina display.
Yeah, that is a super high density 2048 by 1536 pixel screen, which means you basically can't see any pixels anymore. It just looks like text and pictures.
How does that compare with my MacBook Air screen?
Your MacBook Air, I mean, this is a little bit apples to oranges. Your MacBook Air is very dense for a computer screen. It's 130-ish DPI, but you can still see the pixels. But because you're using a mouse pointer to move around, it's a very different experience. The iPad is more like looking at digital paper at this point.
The iPad has the A5X quad-core graphics chipset.
The MacBook Air has a full Intel desktop processor, which means for very intensive tasks, like running full-on Photoshop or running other programs that are really CPU intensive, it's going to do things the iPad simply can't do.
With my iPad, I can keep it on for about 9 to 10 hours.
Yeah, and that's a lot longer than the Air. The Air will give you about 5 hours of activity. The iPad, you get the dock connector and the 3.5mm headset jack. With the MacBook Air, you get a USB port, and you have Thunderbolt, which can connect eventually to a bunch of different kinds of peripherals. So if that's important to you, you really have to consider a traditional computer.
The MacBook Air is going to come with OS X Lion.
Yeah, and that's a full desktop, multitasking, preemptive, you can have multiple windows, you can do things at the same time, and it runs full desktop software, like we mentioned. It runs Photoshop, it runs Microsoft Office.
They also both have some really great features, so you get FaceTime for both of them.
iMessage is in beta now on the Mac as well as being on the iPad.
You can also buy some apps on your Mac.
Yeah, I mean, Apple is trying to make the experience as unified as possible so you can jump back and forth and still feel comfortable.
The user interface itself, though, is quite different. So the difference between a touchscreen when you're actually interacting with the icons is so much simpler than if you're going to be using either a mouse or if you're going to be using a touchpad. If I'm going to be playing games, I'm going to be using my iPad, my new iPad. If I'm going to be surfing the web, I'm probably using my iPad as well. But I'm going to use my Air if I have to type anything out lengthily because it's just easier for me to use a keyboard, a hard keyboard, and already have it there. The same thing if I'm going to be surfing the web for a long period of time.
Yeah, I'm the same way. If I'm blogging, if I'm doing my job, I am almost always using a MacBook Air. I can do it on an iPad, but it's just much easier, faster, and more robust for me to do it on a Mac. But the minute I'm not working, I'm grabbing my iPad. If I'm just reading, if I'm gaming, if I'm just out and I want to have a window into the internet, I'm using the iPad.
Basically, the prices.
It's going to be roughly double. If you get the lowest end iPad and the lowest end MacBook Air, you're looking at $500 compared to $1,000.
And if you're looking at the high ends?
Then it's about $800, $900 versus about $1,600.
So which one would you choose, and how would you figure that out?
Yeah, I think that especially if you're doing things like Microsoft Office, like Photoshop, like any kind of heavy-duty software, you're going to need that laptop experience still. But if you know you're just traveling, if you are brand new to computers, if a computer has always been intimidating and not accessible to you and just too much to handle, I think an iPad is a much better choice.
I have to say, out of both of them, if I had one appliance that I would get to keep, and I have the money to afford it, it would be the Air.
Yeah, for me it would if I had to choose one, it would be the Air. For my mom, I think it would be the iPad.
Yes, I think that you're absolutely right. And if I was going to get my parents a a computing device, it would definitely also be a tablet, and it would be the new iPad because of the size. It's easy for them to see. It's going to be easy for them to use. And this is going to be complex. Not even just getting the programs and setting everything up. The iPad is going to be easier, and they'll probably be able to buy their own applications on their own without calling me constantly.
No tech support. So this is Renee.
And this is Georgia.
And this is iMore TV.
Hi, I'm Georgia.
And I'm Renee.
And this is Tiffy TV.
No,
Do it again, please. Stop it.
Did you really?
Yes.
Oh, I gotta cut it.
I'm not getting a Brazilian on my face.
Hi, I'm Georgia.
And I'm Renee.
And this is iMore TV. Sorry, I don't know why I'm sticking it in front of my face.